Okay, so just think for a second about how you're, taking this conversation in right now.
Hmm.
It's definitely not just the sound, right? Not just our voices.
No, absolutely not.
You might have a picture in your head of something you just saw, or maybe, I don't know, there's a smell where you are.
Right, like coffee brewing or something.
Yeah. Our brains are just constantly dealing with this flood of different types of information.
And that's such a great parallel for what's happening right now in AI, isn't it?
It really is. We're seeing this incredible leap moving way, way beyond just, typing words into a box.
It's fascinating because for so long that was the main way, wasn't it? Interacting with these really powerful tools, but only using text.
Hmm.
And while our world and what we want from AI is just so much richer than words alone can capture.
So AI is finally starting to catch up to that richness.
In a way, yes. It's beginning to perceive things a bit more like we do.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit then. The main idea we're diving into today, it's called multimodal prompting.
Sounds a bit technical, maybe.
It might sound a bit jargony, yeah, but the core concept is actually pretty straightforward.
It really just means using different kinds of inputs, right?
Exactly, a mix. So think images, audio clips, maybe little video snippets, even 3D models, using those alongside text to guide the AI.
And you can immediately see why that's powerful if you think about the limits of just text.
How so?
Well, imagine trying to describe, I don't know, the exact perfect shade of sunset orange you want in an image.
Oh, yeah, that's tough. Or like the specific rhythm of a drum beat you have in your head.
Precisely. Multimodal lets you communicate those nuances much more directly. You could show the color or maybe even hum the rhythm.
Gotcha. So, okay, why should you, listening right now, care about this? I mean, it sounds cool, but...
Well, I think whether you're someone who likes creating things or maybe you're looking for smarter ways to get work done, or heck, even if you're just interested in where technology is heading, this multimodal stuff is opening up completely new ways of doing things.
It really is. It's about AI learning to understand and, interact with the world in a way that's closer to how we do it.
Which ultimately means it can become a much more flexible and powerful partner for us all.
Right. And our understanding of this, I should mention, it comes from digging into the work of experts, people who've been tracking AI's evolution.
People who saw it move from those, let's be honest, pretty basic text commands to these much richer sort of multisensory interactions we're just starting to really explore now.
Absolutely. So our mission today is basically to take those expert insights and, make them clear and hopefully pretty engaging for you.
We want to get into the core ideas, show off some of the really cool stuff it can already do, but also, keep it real, look at the limitations where things stand right now.
Yeah, exactly. So by the end, you should have a pretty solid grasp of this whole fast-moving area.
So where should we start? Maybe thinking back.
Yeah, let's rewind a bit. Those early days, it was almost all text, wasn't it?
Completely.
Yeah.
You'd type something in, like that classic example, write a poem about a cat sitting in a window.
Right. And you get text back. End of story.
That was pretty much the conversation. Text in, text out.
But now, think how different that could be with multimodal prompting instead of just typing cat in window.
You could maybe upload a photo of your actual cat.
Exactly.
Yes.
Your specific fluffy cat, maybe a funny pose, and then ask the AI, generate a short, quirky piano piece that captures this cat's personality.
That's a fantastic example. Or one of the sources we looked at had this great case. Someone did a really rough sketch, like on a tablet, some kind of futuristic car, added just a few keywords like sleek, hover, growing lights.
And the AI?
And the AI generated this incredibly detailed, almost photorealistic image of that exact concept car.
Wow. Okay, that is a huge leap.
It really is. What's amazing is how it just explodes the creative possibilities.
Because you're giving it so much more to work with.
Exactly. More context, more nuance. It allows for much more specific, more imaginative instructions. It's like,
going from black and white to color.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Or maybe like going from writing a description of a meal to actually tasting it.
Okay, I like that. So the big question then is how? How does the AI actually do that? Take an image, some text, maybe a sound clip, and mush it all together to make something new.
Yeah, that's the tricky part, isn't it? At a really fundamental level, the AI needs a way to understand all these different types of information in relation to each other.
Okay.
So there's this process of transforming each different input the image, the text, the sound into a kind of common format.
Like a universal language.
Exactly, a universal language, or maybe a shared space that the AI model can actually work with. Imagine translating Spanish, French, and German all into English so everyone can talk.
Right. And this translation, that involves something called embeddings, doesn't it? We hear that term a lot.
We do. Can you maybe break that down a bit? What are embeddings, really?
Sure. So imagine you smell coffee brewing and you see a coffee cup.
Yeah.
Your brain just instantly links those.
Oh, right.
Different senses, but connected concepts.
Makes sense.
Embeddings are kind of like that, but mathematically for the AI, they're basically numerical representations of data.
Numbers representing words or pixels.
Both. Or sound waves.
Okay.
So the words in your prompt, the pixels in the image, the frequencies in the audio, they all get turned into these like strings of numbers, these embeddings.
Okay.
And the clever part is they're designed so that things that are conceptually similar, like, say, a picture of a happy dog and the words joyful canine, end up having embeddings that are, mathematically speaking, close together.
Ah, so similar concepts are near each other in this sort of embedding space.
Precisely. And the AI can then combine these embeddings, compare them across the different types, image, text, audio, and figure out the relationships.
So it sees the dog embedding from the image is close to the canine embedding from the text.
Exactly. And there are different types of embeddings, too, optimized for text or images or audio, capturing the important features of each one.
Okay, that paints a much clearer picture of the technical magic happening underneath. Thanks.
No problem. So now we know roughly how it works. Let's talk about what people are actually doing with it. The sources we looked at were just full of examples, this explosion of applications.
Yeah, it's moving fast.
Where should we start? Image generation seems like the obvious one. It's gotten so much attention.
It really has. And the progress there, I mean, it's been kind of astonishing, hasn't it? Models like DALL-E 2, Stable Diffusion, Midjourney, you can give them these incredibly detailed text prompts now. Not just what you want, but the style, the lighting, camera angle.
Even the mood, right?
Yeah.
Like a melancholic rainy street scene, photorealistic.
Exactly. And they generate these images that are often stunningly realistic or perfectly stylized and just really close to what you asked for.
I remember one source mentioning someone using detailed text to try and recreate a lost painting.
Yeah, trying to bring back something lost just from descriptions. Amazing.
And it's not just static pictures anymore, is it? We're seeing cool stuff with audio and music, too.
Definitely. Imagine just describing a feeling, like a sense of calm wonder, typing that in.
And the AI composes music for it.
Yeah, a little piece that tries to capture that specific emotion. Or, like we mentioned earlier, you could give it an image, that peaceful landscape photo, and prompt it to generate, say, a calming piano melody that matches the visual vibe.
Wow. Linking visuals directly to sound creation.
And what's really exciting, I think, is how much more accessible these tools are becoming.
Right. It's not just for AI researchers and labs anymore.
Not at all. There are platforms popping up where basically anyone, even if you can't code, can start playing around.
Using different inputs.
Yeah. Take some text, upload a quick sketch you drew, maybe add a little sound effect you recorded, and just see what the AI comes up with.
It really feels like it's putting this creative AI power into, well, potentially anyone's hands.
You don't need that computer science PhD anymore to start exploring.
You can become more like a collaborator with the AI.
Exactly, a creative partner.
Okay, but it can't all be smooth sailing, right?
Right.
This sounds amazing, but there must be challenges, hurdles.
Oh, absolutely. And it's important to have that balanced view. The progress is impressive, no doubt, but there are definitely ongoing challenges and limitations.
The sources we looked at were pretty clear on that, too. So what are some of the main things researchers are still grappling with?
Well, one really big one is just data. Getting enough of the right kind of data.
More than just text, you mean?
Yeah. To train these really complex multimodal models well, you need absolutely massive data sets. But not just images or just text files. You need them linked.
Ah, so images properly labeled with detailed descriptions, videos lined up perfectly with their soundtracks, and maybe even scene descriptions.
Exactly. Gathering and, crucially, annotating these huge, high-quality, paired multimodal data sets. It's just way more complex, way more expensive than getting, say, just a ton of text off the internet.
That makes total sense. It's easy to scrape web text, much harder to get perfectly aligned video, audio, and descriptive text for millions of examples. What else?
Another really interesting challenge is interpretability, or maybe the lack of it sometimes.
Meaning, understanding why the AI made what it made.
Precisely. As these models get more complex, juggling images, sound, text, it can become really difficult to trace back why it generated a specific output based on the mix of inputs you gave it.
Like a black box problem, but even more complicated.
Kind of. And that lack of clear reasoning or interpretability can be a real issue in certain areas where you need to trust the output or understand how it got there, like maybe in science or medicine.
Right. And I imagine bias is still a concern, too, if the training data has biases.
Oh, absolutely. That's a huge one. Bias in the training data, whether it's in the images, the text descriptions associated with them, whatever, can easily lead to biased outputs.
Perpetuating stereotypes or unfair representations.
Exactly. So there's a ton of ongoing research trying to figure out how to detect and mitigate that bias in multimodal systems. It's critical.
So data scarcity, interpretability, bias. Definitely significant hurdles.
They are. But despite those challenges, the future potential here, it still looks incredibly exciting.
The sources definitely painted a picture of some pretty transformative possibilities across lots of different fields.
Which one stood out to you?
Well, the creative industries for sure. You touched on filmmakers.
Yeah, imagine describing a scene, the action, the mood, maybe even humming a little motif.
And the AI generates like visual and audio storyboards.
Yeah.
Preliminaries to work from.
Exactly. Or architects, using maybe rough sketches, some basic 3D shapes, and text about materials or, I don't know, sustainability goals.
And getting back detailed design options almost instantly, allowing for way more iteration.
Precisely. Speeding up that whole creative exploration process.
And beyond the creative stuff, education came up a lot.
Oh, yeah. The idea of truly interactive learning materials. That's fascinating.
Not just textbooks on a screen, but materials that could respond to your voice, or even a picture you draw.
Imagine a biology lesson where you sketch a cell, and the AI analyzes your drawing, asks clarifying questions verbally, and adapts the explanation based on your understanding.
Wow, that's truly personalized learning, tailored to how you learn best.
And then there's healthcare. The potential there seems enormous, if complex.
Combining different data types,
Yeah.
like scans, patient records, doctor's notes.
Right. Imagine an AI system that could look at medical images, read the patient history, maybe even process the doctor's dictated notes from the appointment.
To help with diagnosis, or suggest treatment options.
Potentially, yes. Assisting medical professionals, perhaps spotting patterns across different data types that a human might miss. It could be revolutionary for diagnosis and treatment planning, though obviously needs extreme care and validation.
Absolutely. And one other area that really struck me was assistive technology.
That's a really important one.
How could multimodal AI change things for people with disabilities?
Well, think about interaction. If the AI can understand speech, gestures, images, text, it opens up so many more ways for people to interact with technology and the world.
More natural, more intuitive ways, tailored to individual needs and abilities.
Exactly. It could really revolutionize how people connect, communicate, and navigate their environment.
It feels like we're talking about a really fundamental shift then.
I think so. Multimodal prompting isn't just a minor upgrade. It's changing the very nature of how humans and AI can work together, collaborate.
Moving past just text.
Moving past the limitations of just text.
Right.
Yeah. Enabling AI to understand us, our intentions, our world in a much richer, more, human-like way in some respects.
Unlocking new ways to create, solve problems, innovate.
Absolutely. But as our sources also really emphasized, it's still early days.
Right. We're definitely not at the end of this story. Feels more like the beginning.
Very much so. We're just starting to see what's possible as these models get better, as we figure out how to train them more effectively, how to integrate them safely.
This whole transition from text only to this multisensory AI world, it's definitely a journey.
And the potential for what comes next is just immense. Really exciting to watch.
Okay, so let's try and wrap up this deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground on multimodal prompting. The key takeaway, really, is that AI is moving beyond just understanding and generating text. It's learning to work with images, sound, video, all sorts of inputs.
And that expansion is opening up just a huge range of possibilities across creativity, education, healthcare, accessibility, pretty much everywhere.
Yeah. Which leads us to maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on.
Go for it.
As AI gets better and better at perceiving the world more like we do, through sight, sound, maybe even other senses down the line.
Yeah.
What new ways of creating or learning or just interacting do you see becoming common?
That's a great question. How might it change your specific field or even just your day-to-day life?
Yeah. Think beyond the examples we gave. What are the ripple effects? It's a fast-moving field, And the wider impact is definitely something worth pondering.